Welcome to DeadBall TV, everybody. Y'all can see the title. This is going to be a pretty comprehensive preview and prediction video for the Gold Cup group stage. Now, before I get into this, and I'm going to go group by group, I'm going to put the timestamps down below because I know half of y'all got ADHD and you cannot watch videos that are more than 10 seconds long because TikTok has ruined your brains. So the timestamps will be down below eventually, maybe not upon publishing. I'm going to be doing as many live watch-alongs for this tournament as I possibly can. Of course, that includes a live stream for all Mexico games. But I'm going live for Canada too. I'm going live for Panama. I'm even going live for Haiti and Saudi Arabia. It's going to be a lot of content here in the channel. I will also be dropping match day reactions and takeaway videos. If not every day, then every other day, just to keep you guys up to speed on everything going down, because not everybody has time to watch every single game, right? So what I'm trying to say is hit subscribe if you like videos about Concacaf. This won't even be the last Gold Cup preview video that I publish on the channel, and we're just 4 days away, folks. So buckle in. This is going to be a long one. Let me know your group predictions down below in the comments. Smash the like button if you could. Let's get into this. We're going to start with Group A: Mexico, Costa Rica, Suriname, and the Dominican Republic. I will do team previews very quickly. I got some notes here, and then we'll do predictions at the end for every single group. We'll start with Dominican Republic, who are debutantes at this tournament, which is pretty crazy. Maybe not crazy because they are a baseball nation. Some people may know that. Others are not familiar. I personally don't like baseball, but whatever. I digress. Looking at the form coming into this tournament for the Dominican Republic, it's pretty solid. I'm looking at 7 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses in the last 10. Those 2 losses were 1-0 away to Jamaica and 4-2 away to Guatemala, and that was 2 days ago. And let me say, y'all, I was putting together my notes and kind of my dark horse picks and all this stuff a couple days ago, and I kind of had to rewrite the Dominican Republic section a little bit after that Guatemala game. Like, they really got sliced and freaking diced by Guatemala for the second half, and probably parts of the first half as well. So I was kind of like, dang, Could they be a sneaky team and finish second here? But the Guatemalans, they blocked that at the rim, like LeBron against Iguodala in Game 7 of the finals. So I kind of think they're dark horse potential. Took a big hit. Could they still make it out? Yes, but I'm going to maintain it's the biggest achievement in national team history. For me, the Dominican Republic are playing with house money. They have absolutely nothing to lose here. If they get grouped and finish 4th, no one's going to be calling them frauds. Even getting 1 win and 3 points on the board here, I think is a dub for the Dominicans, and I think that should be the objective here. Now, most times I try to look at historical performance of these sides and compare how they've done over time, but with all due respect, the Dominican Republic have been a completely irrelevant national team forever, and they're still kind of irrelevant now. If you want to change that narrative, you got to do something for me at this Gold Cup. That being said, it is worth noting that they have 1 win all-time against all 3 opponents in this group. That was against Suriname in 2011. Now, quick player profile. They have been getting a lot more, commitments from some dual nationals, most notably Pablo Rosario, who plays for Nice in France, CDM. Peter Federico plays for Getafe in La Liga. He's kind of a rotation guy for Getafe, but still a La Liga player. And, of course, Junior Firpo is the one that everybody's most familiar with, but he is withdrawn from the Gold Cup squad, and I'm not sure how they're going to cope with his absence. I think the objective here is 3 points. Move on to Mexico. Let's cut straight through the fat here. No BS, no playing around. The objective is to win the Gold Cup, and the objective is to win the Gold Cup in the same convincing fashion that we won in 2023 when Mexico was by far the best side. Looking at opponent by opponent, against Costa Rica, they have never beaten Mexico in the Gold Cup ever. Isn't that crazy? It's insane that Costa Rica, the 4th best team in Concacaf historically, arguably 3rd best team in Concacaf historically, if you want to say that, I have no problem with that whatsoever, have never beat Mexico in the Gold Cup. They only have 2 draws against us all time. Every other game has been a loss. Now, the games typically play out like if they're in a knockout game, Mexico wins on pens or we win in extra time. If it's in the group stage, then it tends to be a little bit more comfortable for Mexico. Honestly, us beating Los Ticos 2-0 in the last Gold Cup was probably the most comfortable knockout win we maybe have ever had against Costa Rica. Usually these are kind of brutal games. I used to hate watching them as a kid because it was just so even, kind of boring, and yeah, I went to extra time and pens every single time. In Mexico, we have definitely benefited from hella corruption inside CONCACAF. I will never forget the 2015 Gold Cup. If you know, you know. Guardado 120th minute penalty off a phantom call. I mean, Mexico, man, we've gotten some cheesy, sketchy ass moments in the history of this tournament, but still, whether it's by hook or by crook, we tend to get the job done against Costa Rica. Against Suriname, we played them 3 times all time and won every single game. Last time being in the 2022 Nations League, we beat them home and away. I think that was the Santi Jimenez penalty miss away in Suriname, if I'm not mistaken. And against the Dominican Republic, not a ton of history in this fixture. Probably in baseball, this is the equivalent of like a Super Clásico, but in football, not too much relevance. And with how bad their defense is, I expect this to be a pretty comfortable victory in the end for Mexico. I would honestly be disappointed if we didn't score 3 goals in this game. In terms of players, Mexico, we're not really missing too many key figures unless you consider Henry Martin to be a talisman in the national team. And I think we're benefiting from playing some European sides, Switzerland and Turkey, right before the tournament, because we are going to be dropping the level overall walking in to the Gold Cup. Obviously, we just won the Nations League for the first time ever. I think 7 points is the absolute minimum standard that is acceptable for Mexico in this group. And honestly, it should be 9 points, even though Costa Rica are solid and Suriname good defensively. We should be taking 9 points. Speaking of Costa Rica next, comment down below, are Costa Rica the biggest wildcard team in the Gold Cup? I really feel like these guys could make the final, or they could even get grouped and finish third here. I mean, there's so many unknowns for Costa Rica, and I kind of feel like there's 2 questions we need to ask ourselves. And this will determine how you, the viewer, feels about their performance and what your predictions for this team. Number 1, do you rate Miguel Herrera as a manager, specifically as a national team manager? Because if the answer is yes, Costa Rica are not getting grouped, and they will push Mexico to finish first. The second question is, do you rate this next generation of Los Ticos players? If the answer is no, then they're on upset watch. If the answer is a hell yes, then they could go far in this tournament. Now, I've talked many times about how I feel like Costa Rica inside Concacaf have been a bit fraudulent, and that we've always seen the best of Costa Rica against South American and European competition. Like, they really dig deep and find this like next level, this next gear that just doesn't surface that much in the Gold Cup. They're very good at home against teams like Canada and the United States, but in the Gold Cups, which are always in the U.S., they seem to be a little bit below their standard consistently. I think this is something we've seen consistently from Costa Rica. So I would love to see them make a semifinal or even the final. I think that'd be fantastic, but it's going to be a really tough really tough task for them. Now, I probably through nostalgia back Herrera as manager. And if he doesn't succeed at this Gold Cup with Costa Rica, then I think we just write off what he did with Mexico as a one-off, and that's fine. Some of you will already be prepared to do that right now. I'm just holding on a little bit longer. We've seen him play 0 good teams since he became Los Ticos manager. I'm not rating games against Belize and Bermuda or whoever the else they're beating 8-0 in World Cup qualifiers. We've learned nothing about this Costa Rica squad. They are the biggest question mark. Isn't there a Pokemon or something that's literally a question mark, or they're called like unknowns or something? I haven't played in a long time. I'm getting old. That's why y'all call me Unk. But hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. Like, if Mexico is like, I don't know, Gyarados or something, then that might even be insulting. If we're like goddamn Suicune or Groudon or something, then I think Costa Rica is that kind of unknown Pokemon, right? God, I hope somebody understood that metaphor. I might have to delete the entire channel. And I also back Costa Rica's talent. I think Gustavo Alfaro and what he did at the Copa America with these guys showed what the true potential for Costa Rica is. Now, Alfaro is way better than Piojo, but if he can get them even to 80% of what Alfaro did, they're going to make it out of the group. Comfortably, I think, on 6 points. Maybe they lose to Mexico, but I don't know how much that will matter, depending on how the other 2 teams do. Guys like Alcocer, Ugalde, Jalen Mitchell, Madrigal, Zamora Bran. Dude, they have, if you look at Costa Rica, 24 years old and younger, I would say one of the most exciting teams in CONCACAF. I think they have a better next gen coming up than Panama. Definitely better than Jamaica. Is it better than Mexico? I think it's right there. United States, probably not. They just have a little more options. Canada, I don't know enough about the Canadian youth, guys, so you guys let me know in the comments. But I do think Costa Rica, one of the brightest generations upcoming in CONCACAF, and hopefully this generation is able to win a Gold Cup. The offense is crazy. The defense is a bit of a question mark, but that's where most of their depth is. Obviously, Keylor Navas is back. I don't really know what that means because Patrick Sequeira was a beast this season, and now he's right back to the bench. These guys should be looking to make the semifinal. I think that is what would be considered a good Gold Cup for Costa Rica. I think if they can keep the opposition in this group to 1 goal or less per game, I think they're going to advance. If they're conceding 2 goals a game, 3 goals a game, they had some shootouts in 2023. It was honestly a little embarrassing, and Joel Campbell had to rescue them. If they can avoid that, they're going to advance, and I think that they would get 2 wins from this group. And finally, Suriname. Here's my whole thesis on this team. They can hold their own against the B tier and the C tier teams in Concacaf, right? They tend to get 1-0 wins, 2-0 wins, and if it's like a Aruba or something, they win 4-0. They beat those teams pretty convincingly. The problem is they have 2 A-tier teams in the group in Costa Rica and Mexico. Mexico might even be S-tier. If you want to say Mexico and the United States are the S-tiers in CONCACAF, both currently and historically, granted, that's even worse for Suriname. And I'm sorry, I'm just not buying into much to they're getting on these Dutch guys. God, please no more Dutch foreigners. Sorry, let me gather myself here. I think it's a great story, but this group is too tough for them. I see them keeping the games close. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost to Mexico and Costa Rica 1-0, 2-0. I don't really think they're going to get murdered, but I just don't think that they have enough weapons and enough firepower to really take down any of these teams. Could they take down Dominican Republic? Yeah, they could. But 3 points isn't going to be enough. They absolutely have to get a draw against Costa Rica or Mexico to have any chance here. And some of these results here, man, I don't know. They got goddamn bullied at home by Haiti, too. I remember that game. Drew with Puerto Rico, lost to Guadeloupe. They're the darling of CONCACAF right now, and I'm selling. I'm selling on the darlings of CONCACAF. I think it's too soon for these guys. I don't think they have enough reps together. I think the Gold Cup is a different beast, and I don't think they're prepared. If they were in an easier group, then I think I could buy in. But in Group A, it's just not happening for me. So my predictions for this group, I think Mexico, most Gold Cups in history, Nations League winner, current holder of the Gold Cup. I think they finish in first on 7 or 9 points. It depends how seriously that final game against Costa Rica is taken, and of course what the circumstances are of that game. And I do think Costa Rica finish in second. They've actually only been grouped 1 time ever in the history of the Gold Cup. Mexico have been grouped once. That was the first ever Gold Cup in 1964, I think. And Costa Rica have been grouped once. I think it was in the 1980s, and it was groups of 3. So they've never actually been grouped in a group of 4. That's what Suriname and Dominican Republic are going up against. That's why I kind of think they're cooked. In third place, I'm going to say the Dominican Republic take it. And I think that's because they have a little bit more firepower than the Surinamese. And I think they're not in the spotlight. I think Suriname is just creeping into the spotlight a little bit. They got a Nations League game against Canada, and they kind of did well, even though they didn't really do anything. They just defended. But I guess they put respect on themselves by having that performance. And debutants, man, they always tend to have a little bit of magic in these tournaments. And so I think that the Dominican Republic will finish in third, and the Surinamese are going to be in fourth. I'm not sure if it's going to be on 1 point or 0. Moving on now to Group B, we have Canada, Honduras, El Salvador, and Curacao. I see this group like this. Canada should be taking 9 points. Not because Canada is entitled to 9 points or they're just that freaking good. It's because the other 3 teams in this group are not good defensively. And I think Canada ripped them to shreds. I don't think anybody here holds Canada to a clean sheet. I will be stunned if they don't score in every single game. And I'll kind of be stunned if they don't score 7 goals in the group stage or more. I'm kind of thinking Canada score 8 goals in this group stage. I know they're missing players like Davies and Bombito, but they still bring in the David bros, even though they're not, not brothers. But Promise David, Jonathan David, Ismail Kone, Ali Ahmed, Schaffelberg, Alistair Johnston. Yes, they're missing 2 important guys, but they have enough in this group to shred these teams, to absolutely eviscerate them. And they should not just be aiming to win the group. They should be aiming to win the tournament, y'all. I think a realistic objective for Canada is win the Gold Cup. It's not out of the question. I think they are the second favorite. If I was to rank the favorites, I would put Mexico first, Canada second, the United States third. That should be the objective. If they do not make a semifinal, it is a huge L. I believe in Jesse Marsh. I think he's doing good things with this Canada side. I think they're going to take 9. And I think really the battle is just for second place, and it's kind of the battle of mid. It might even be the battle of poor. I guess I can get into that right now. I'll start with Curacao. So Curacao did play Canada recently in the 2022 Nations League group phase. They lost both of those games, both home and away. I think Curacao have improved a little bit since 2022, but I think Canada have, like, going back to Pokemon, they have literally evolved from Trico into Grovile, right? Curacao, they've kind of like leveled up from level 13 to level 15. Like there's definitely some buffs that have improved. Yeah, maybe the defense is up +3 and the offense is +1, but I don't think they've gone through the wholesale changes that Canada have. So I think in that game, they're just simply outmatched, and I think they're going to lose pretty decisively. Now, Curacao are doing okay in the Nations League group phase, and I don't even remember what teams they were playing, but none of them were very good. I think now that they're playing the big boys, and I honestly hesitate to even call El Salvador a big boy. Maybe even Honduras a little bit. Maybe I'm being a little bit flattering there as well, but these are certainly better teams. I know Curacao have made it out before, but I don't think they've made it out of a group this tough, and I really do think they're going to be in trouble. I don't see them getting second. I think third is very much achievable for them, though. And if they finish fourth, I will be surprised. El Salvador, I'll move on to them. They have somewhat recovered from their devastatingly terrible run from 2021 to 2023 when they were hands down the laughingstock of Concacaf. And I guess in the Nations League, you would say that they kind of gotten their mojo back. And by mojo back, I mean they're actually scoring goals again and they're actually winning games. But it's against C-tier Concacaf sides. I really don't think we can look into the Concacaf Nations League too much because there's simply too little talent to distribute throughout the groups evenly. Tends to be one good team and everybody else is really, really poor. And that was the case, I think, with El Salvador. Even with their improved form in the Nations League, they still lost against teams like St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I actually think they've been in some shootouts with St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And if you're getting in shootouts with those guys, I just fear for what Honduras is going to be able to do to you, what Curacao is going to do to you, because they're better than St. Vincent and no less Canada. So I just think El Salvador, man, if they don't finish fourth, massive dub. I know I'm offending any Salvadorans watching, but your team is still awful. And I think if they make it out of the group phase, wow. Like, that might be one of the biggest dubs of the tournament. I really just don't think they're ready. I think getting here is great. I think they've steadied the ship a little bit in the sense that they're not conceding a ton of goals. But again, against C-tier teams, I think that changes here. Finally, Honduras. If there was one team in CONCACAF that would benefit the most from hosting the Gold Cup, it would be Honduras. And I think if Honduras were hosting the Gold Cup, they'd probably make the semifinals because in San Pedro Sula, man, these guys are killers. And they're not afraid of anybody. They have a very strong record there. And they could upset some of the biggest teams. I mean, they beat Mexico twice there consecutively. But the Gold Cup is not in Honduras. It's in the United States. And in the United States and away from home, generally, Honduras are simply not as scary. They kind of get like a minus 30% buff on all their stats. And they've been involved in some very high-scoring games recently against what I would classify as concerning opposition. Beating Bermuda 5-3, beating French Guiana 3-2, beating Cuba 3-1. So they're scoring goals. I guess they beat the Cayman Islands 1-0 recently off an 86-minute own goal. Not great. Again, I just think when they play the better sides, they're going to get cooked. I think when they play Canada, they're going to get cooked. But when they play Curacao and El Salvador, they should have enough to get this done. And in the end, I kind of do think that's what's going to happen. I think what saves Honduras in the end is just, number one, they've been to so many Gold Cups. They know how this goes. And number two, they do have the best star players outside of Canada. Luis Palma, Kervin Arriaga, freaking Choco Lozano. That man's still doing it too. I think they get it done. They have enough tools in the shed, and it's a really small shed. It's almost not a shed. It's kind of just like a box that you can kind of like put one foot in, maybe like half your body gets in, and you kind of like reach and you grab the tools, but it's still more than some of the other teams have. So my predictions here, I think Canada finished first at 9 points. I think they make the final. I think Jesse Marsh is the second best coach in CONCACAF. I think these guys are hungry because I think the Canadians will feel like they got hard done by a little bit in the Nations League. And as a Mexico fan, they did get hard done by against Mexico. So I think they're coming for blood, and I don't think anybody can stop them except for Mexico in the final. In second place, actually, sorry, before I say that, fun fact here, Canada have never taken 9 points in the group stage of the Gold Cup. So that would be an achievement. That would be a milestone for them. Consider that extra motivation. Now I'll move on to second place. I do have Honduras. I kind of think that just through repetition, experience, and star power, and it's also not a very young team. It's a pretty veteran team overall. I think they get it done. I don't know if it's going to be pretty. I wouldn't dare predict that, but I think they have enough to beat Curacao or El Salvador. God help them if they don't. In third place, I do think it's going to be Curacao. I do think they probably finish on 3. I think they're going to beat El Salvador. They have some exciting new commits. Commits? Is that what you would call them? Transfers, declarations, players who have declared and switched to Curacao, but I think it's kind of the same with Suriname, as these things take time. And even though you're bringing in better players from, the Netherlands or from France, you still need repetitions before your team gets really good. I think you even see this with the Dominican Republic too, where you can tell these guys as a back line, as a midfield, haven't played a lot of games together. And in tournament football, I think that's really important. So I do think that will kind of undermine them against Honduras. And against Honduras, and against Canada. And in fourth, El Salvador. I'm not sure if they'll get a point, y'all. I'm so sorry. I'm really looking at it here. I don't know. I will say the hope for Curacao is this. Canada beat Honduras so bad in the first game, which is weirdly hosted in Canada. There will be one game in Canada, and it's against Honduras in match day 1. They will hope that it is such a comprehensive victory for Canada. And let me be clear, they can win and should win that game 3-0. That Honduras morale is shot. And they kind of just cave. And eventually, when Honduras has to play Curacao in the last game, Curacao can park the bus and play for 1 point. That's the argument for Curacao. That's what they will hope to have happen. We're just going to have to wait and see. Moving on to, speaking of C, Group C here, Panama, Jamaica, Guatemala, Guadeloupe. I guess the group of life or the group of death, depending on how you want to look at it. I think this group is super juicy. Is it the juiciest melon here? I don't know, man. Group D has kind of grown on me a little bit. Group A is pretty fire. Group B is the only one that I'm like, damn, dude, this is dry, man. Sahara Desert FC out here. I'll start with Guatemala. I think Guatemala has one advantage they can lean on here. And no, I don't mean they're fire kids. I mean the fact that they seem to travel quite well. And I think if you compare them to the other B-tier Concacaf sides, they generally take care of business away from home, and it's generally more comfortable. I don't think they're one of these teams that just drops off a freaking cliff as soon as they leave Guatemala City. I think they're okay away from home. Again, this being in the United States, I think they'll be well represented as well in terms of fans. But this is a really hard group for them. And I think if you look at some of the teams that they're going to play here, they don't have a notable victory in a long freaking time. And unfortunately for Guatemala, they have 2 notable teams in this group, Guadeloupe and Panama. If you look at Panama, they haven't beaten them since 2005, which is a long time ago. It's pretty much just consecutive or consistent Panama victories in that time. Guadeloupe, they've only played twice, and each team has 1 win. I don't know if that's good or bad. I mean, you guys will have to let me know in the comments. They did play Guadeloupe in the group stage of the last Gold Cup, and Guatemala won that game 3-2, and that's why they advanced to the knockouts to play Jamaica. And it was actually a really good performance from them. I think they can do it again, and I kind of do foresee them beating Guadeloupe again, because the Guatemalans, man, they got high morale. It's just not the most talented national team, but they're going to go out and fight. There's some dogs. I have respect for Guatemala. And then Jamaica, they haven't beaten since 2012. I really think that Jamaica's a terrible matchup for Guatemala. I think they're too short and too slow to compete with just the sheer pace and set piece lethality of the Jamaicans. I just think that's going to be the downfall. Even when they play each other, I don't think Guatemala gets dunked on. It's just they just don't have the tools to kind of keep up with the Jamaicans. They have 2 wins against Jamaica all time. All time. Guatemala 2 wins. That's not good, man. I feel like they might be able to sneak something here, but we got to see one of the greatest Gold Cup campaigns from a group of Guatemalans we've ever seen. And they must beat Guadeloupe, and they must get 1 point against Jamaica or Panama. That's the only way. Speaking of Jamaica, crazy stat. Maybe not so crazy when I break it down. They've made the semifinals of 4 of the last 5 Gold Cups. That sounds pretty crazy. I think Jamaica are the opposite of Costa Rica. Costa Rica, when they play genuinely good teams from around the world, they put respect on Concacaf. When Jamaica have to play teams outside of the federation, they make Concacaf look really bad, and they lose often in embarrassing fashion. But in the Gold Cup, these guys do pretty well. They're not a pushover team in the Gold Cup by any means, and they should be aiming to win the group. I don't think any Jamaican is looking at this and is like, God, are we going to make it out? I mean, the expectation has to be push Panama for first. maybe even beat Panama. More on that later. Now, one of the problems Jamaica has is that they're very good in the Gold Cup until they have to play the U.S. men's national team or Mexico. Now, for the sake of this group, that won't matter. But I was looking at the last 3 times that these guys have gotten knocked out of the Gold Cup. 2023, 3-0 loss to Mexico in the semifinal. 2021, 1-0 loss to the United States in the quarterfinal. 2019, 3-1 loss to the United States in the semifinals. Their all-time record against the U.S. and Mexico in the Gold Cup, 11 games, 2 wins, 9 losses. So they have beat these guys before. They've upset Mexico. I think it was 2015, 2017 they upset Mexico. They've upset the United States before. I think that was 2015. But as long as they avoid these 2 teams, they're generally okay. And again, they're not playing either of these guys this time in the group. Therefore, Jamaicans should be feeling pretty confident. Of course, they're bringing a lot of their big guns as usual. Leon Bailey, Michael Antonio's back in the squad. Bobby Reed, Ethan Pinnock, Mason Holgate, newcomer to the team. I don't see them finishing outside of the top 2 as much as I do like to troll Jamaica. Panama. Now, I consider Panama to be the 4th best team in Concacaf. I think they've been that for a while. I think they have the best coach in Concacaf. I think they have one of the most impressive resumes of Concacaf teams, especially recently. They made the finals of the Nations League and the Gold Cup recently, finalists in 2023, and they play awesome football. So Panama should be aiming to win the tournament. I think they're one of the 4 teams that should be looking at the trophy and saying, that's ours. My biggest concern, bar none, with Panama is Coco Carrasquilla is injured and he's not going to play. And this guy is easily the most important player for Panama. I mean, he creates goals. He scores in finals. He scores in the penalty shootouts against the United States in the semis. He's the Concacaf Player of the Year last year. This is really difficult for a team like Panama to replace. Now, to counter myself, Panama was missing Amir Murillo in the Nations League, their second best player. Maybe not their second most important, but their second best player. Some would say their best player, but I would disagree. And it didn't really matter. They actually played quite well against the United States, and they gave Mexico a game. So I'm going to choose to back Thomas Christensen as a manager and say that he's going to get it done even without Coco Carrasquilla. They will be aiming for 9 points here. I kind of think they'll get 7 because I'm kind of think the most likely outcome is a draw with Jamaica, but again, a little bit more on that later. And finally, Guadeloupe. And I have no idea what to think about these guys. I think they were really fun to watch at the last Gold Cup. I think they're an exciting team. They got some new guys showing up to the tournament. Yvan Masson from Saint Etienne and Christopher Julian from Montpellier. So a couple Ligue 1 talent. They got a Bundesliga guy in here too. But I don't think these guys have the reps together. I guess this is their World Cup because they can't compete in the World Cup. So maybe that'll get the boys up for this one and they'll be ready to come out swinging. But I don't know. I really think they lack cohesion, and being in a group with Panama, Jamaica, and Guatemala kind of kills them a little bit. I think if Guadeloupe were in Group B, dude, I would be seriously looking at them to possibly upset one of those teams, to possibly upset Honduras and finish in second. But here, I just think it's too much of an ask. So my final predictions, I do have Guadeloupe in 4th. I'm sorry. I just think this is a really, really tough group for them, and I don't see them getting more than 3 points, absolute max. Guatemala in 3rd. And this really hurt me because I like the Guatemaltecos out there. Y'all always show out for the national team. You always are okay with me using you guys as an example and sometimes a punching bag inside CONCACAF. You guys are great sports. I will be happy if you guys advance, but I just don't see it happening. I think Jamaica and Panama are really bad matchups. Both of them are really bad matchups, and I don't think Guadeloupe is even a layup game. So the fact that you don't have a layup game here, there is no like El Salvador to beat up. I just think it's going to be too much of an ask. In 2nd, I'm going to say Jamaica for now, but you guys will just have to subscribe for future videos because I need to see how Panama play without Coco Carrasquilla. And this is the last group stage game, Panama, Jamaica, and I am going to assume both of them will be going into that on 6 points. Whoever looks more convincing in those first 2 games, that's who I think will win that game. I think a draw is still the most likely outcome no matter what. Part of me kind of backs Jamaica to score more goals. I don't know why. I get really scared backing Jamaica. It's bit me in the ass every single time. So I'm going to say 40% chance Jamaica are in first, 60% chance Panama are in first. And really I'm doing that because, well, they've done better than Jamaica recently. I think they're better than Jamaica overall, although it is a very even back and forth affair. Like Panama definitely struggle a little bit with Jamaica. There tend to be very competitive games. And Christensen is the GOAT, so I got to back the GOAT as a manager. I do think Panama in the end will finish first in this group. And let's conclude now with Group D, United States, Haiti, Trinidad, and Saudi Arabia. I think this is a really fun group. I got to go a little bit quicker on this one. I'll start with Trinidad. Do they have dark horse potential? No, I don't think they do. And I'm really sorry for that. I feel like Trinidad gets spoken about a lot because of the famous victories against the United States, and nothing can ever take that away from them. But I think Trinidad in the United States is not very good. And if you look at the last 2 games in the Gold Cup that they've played against the United States, y'all, they've lost 12-0 on aggregate. I think there's a 3-game span against the U.S. where they've lost 19-0 on aggregate. Like, Trinidad is good at home. Trinidad away from home, not good. It's like people don't remember how terrible they were in the last Gold Cup too. And I know they'll be like, Jack, you're a hater. We're so much better than. I don't believe it, bro. I don't believe it. Y'all got to show me. So outside of that, I'm seeing here they haven't beaten Haiti in over 5 games. I think Haiti are a much better team, much more talented than Trinidad. Could they do something against the Saudis? Are they better than a Saudi B team? No, they're not better than a Saudi B team. I'm sorry. I still think the Saudis have a better manager and better talent than Trinidad and Tobago. I think this is a tough group for them if they make it out. Huge dub. Saudi Arabia next. This is an interesting one because it's a certified B team, just like Qatar brought a certified B team in 2023. Only this B team I think is better. I do think that the Saudi backups with some star players have enough here to really annoy some teams and kind of be a pest that makes it to the quarterfinals or the semifinals. They're still going to have guys like Marwan Al-Sahafi, very talented winger playing in Belgium, one of the few Saudis playing in Europe that you guys probably don't know about. Ali Lajami, one of their center backs, is going to be here. Saud Abdulhamid, one of the best fullbacks in all of Asia. They're going to have their starting goalkeeper as well. Abdullela Al-Amri, their other fullback. So basically, like, their whole starting back line, except for Hassan Al-Tambakti, is going to be here. They're still going to be annoying, man. They're going to be really, really annoying. Defensively, I expect them to concede very few goals. The question marks are going forward. They still have Al-Burkan. They still have Al-Sahafi, but that's not saying much. These guys don't really do anything for the senior team. They haven't really been effective at all in Asia. Al-Burkan is probably one of the most fraudulent strikers in the AFC qualifiers so far. We'll see what they do. These guys, if Costa Rica's the giant question mark, the Saudis are second because they don't tend to do that great when they play B teams in these kind of like secondary tournaments. Not that the Gold Cup's secondary, but when they go to like the Gulf Cup and they send like a second team to the Gulf Cup, they tend to not really do anything there. Renard in tournament football with Saudi Arabia specifically hasn't really done that much either. He's got much more success in Africa and with African teams than he does with Asian teams. I'm kind of expecting it to be painful football, but possibly effective. So just expect them to sit back a lot and try to counterattack. Haiti next. Haiti are my dark horse pick for the tournament. I'm just going to stand on this now. I might make a video of my ranking, the top dark horses, but I'm just going to say Haiti are my number one. They score a lot of goals. They have great star power, so kind of like similar star power to Honduras, but like better form, much better form, I would say. And they've done it before, and they've done it recently. I think they beat Trinidad and Tobago. The Saudi game, it really will determine everything to me, and I will be going live for that 100%. I can promise you guys now. Even if they draw Saudi Arabia, I think they'll have a better GD to finish on 4 points and still go through in second place because I don't see the Saudis scoring a lot of goals. If they score a lot of goals here, man, I will be really, really blown away. They have lost to the United States 3 times in a row in the Gold Cup, but 2 of those have been by 1-0 scoreline. These have been really, really competitive games. Unfortunately, I don't think they can beat the United States this time, but the U.S. are in a bad place. Morale's really low. Could they get a draw? Absolutely, and I'm very much looking forward to that game as well. And lastly, I'll end with the United States, and yeah, I'll be straight up. I'm picking them to advance because they're the host, because Pochettino's the manager, because they have good players, and because they simply cannot afford to not advance. If the United States get grouped here, Pochettino must be sacked, the players must be sacked, the offices of U.S. soccer must be razed to the ground and rebuilt. It would be even more embarrassing than the Copa America grouping. I genuinely believe that, because at least at the Copa America, they had Uruguay in the group. And at least they had Panama, who American fans have disrespected forever, despite them, winning 3 games in a row now against them, or knocking them out 3 times in a row. I understand that a lot of the players aren't there, but there's still enough with Chris Richards, Tyler Adams, maybe, Malik Tillman, Aronson Bros, Haji Wright, Johnny Cardoso, Diego Luna. This is still a team that at least has to make the semifinals. Like, God help them if they don't make the semifinals. This team, tactical manager's going to have a 2-hour rant video. 11 Yanks are going to have a 2-hour rant video. Freaking, I'm going to have a 2-hour rant video. Connor's going to jump on the channel. It's going to be bloody, dude. It's going to look like a massacre if these guys do not make minimum the semifinal. The only teams they can lose to and it not look awful is Canada, because Canada bringing a strong team, and Mexico. That's it. I even think if Panama beat them again, it'd be like, bro, are you serious? Knocked out again 4 times in the effing row against Panama? Like, it would be Nah, like that can't happen again. Raise the buildings to the ground. It's time to have an uprising. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on guys like Diego Luna, Paxton Aronson, Brennan Aronson to create. Malik Tillman, man. This is the Malik Tillman and Johnny Cardoso Gold Cups. And probably, no. Those are the two players that have a lot of clout. They play in Europe. I've been called a hater of them. I've been called a simper of them for Cardoso at the same time. They need to play well. If they don't play well, I genuinely think their futures with the U.S. men's national team, they're not in doubt because they're still going to make the team, but they won't be looked upon as starters. So those guys specifically have to carry. They're some of the guys with the most to gain outside of Pochettino himself in this tournament. So my predictions here, I do think the United States finish in first, probably on 7 points. I'd be shocked if they get ninth. Not shocked, but a little surprised. In second, I think it's either Haiti with 5 points or 4 points, but a better GD. The Saudis in third, but narrowly. Again, I need to see how the Saudi B team plays. I need to see how seriously they take it, how Renard wants to play. A lot of unknowns here. It's difficult for me to say at the time. And in fourth, I got Trinidad and Tobago. I think if they get 3 points here, it's a successful tournament for Trinidad. Those are my group stage predictions, guys. Sorry I had to speed this up at the end, but your boys got to go. Got a busy day today. Let me know what you think of my predictions down below in the comments. Is there anything you disagree with? Let me know why. Again, if you want to see all the live watch-alongs for the Gold Cup on the channel, make sure you subscribe. I will be starting with Mexico, Dominican Republic. I believe that's the first game, and then it ain't going to stop from there all the way up until the final. Lots of match day reviews dropping on the channel as well. Make sure you're following me on social media so you stay up to date with which live streams we're going to be doing on the channel, which game specifically. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button. I appreciate you for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.